You had a childhood before the internet existed for you. Then, right in the middle of growing up, the internet arrived and gave you a second one. No generation before or after you experience both in the same developmental window. Psychology has only recently begun to understand what that did to your brain. If you were born between 1993 and 1998, your early childhood milestones were completely tactile. You navigated a world measured by physical distance, tangible media, and unstructured time. Psychologists refer to this as a high-latency environment. You had to wait, and that waiting built your brain's default mode network. Think back to a rainy Tuesday afternoon in 1997. There were no algorithms engineered to hijack your dopamine pathways. If you were bored, you stayed bored until your brain forced you to create something. This lack of constant external stimulation forced your mind to develop an internal locus of control. You learned to rely on your own thoughts for entertainment. Then came the shift. Around the early 2000s, when you were entering your formative cognitive years, the internet transformed from a utility into a destination. Dial-up tones echoed through your hallways. If this sounds like you, drop a comment below with your exact birth year. Let's see how many of us share this dual brain blueprint. You didn't just adopt the internet. You watched it crawl out of its infancy. You remember Web 1.0. You remember when websites were flat, text-heavy, and unpolished. This transition happened precisely when your prefrontal cortex was undergoing its most critical pruning phase. You built an entirely separate set of mental habits on top of your analog base. Neuroscientists have a term for this: cognitive bilingualism. Just like someone who grows up speaking two languages fluently, your brain natively understands two completely different ways of existing. You are fluent in deep linear focus, the kind required to read a physical choose-your-own-adventure book. But you are also fluent in hyperattention, the fast-paced, multi-tab browsing style of the digital age. This duality has a dark side. It creates a specific psychological friction unique to the 1993 to 1998 cohort. It's what experts call phantom boredom. Because you remember what true stillness feels like, your brain craves it. But because you were rewired by early internet culture, you are simultaneously addicted to the infinite scroll. You are constantly homesick for a quiet mind that you can no longer easily access. Think about your digital footprints. You were the only generation that remembers social media before it became a commercialized career path. You lived through the experimental era. You customized your MySpace page with messy HTML code. You picked a top 8 friends list, navigating complex teenage social dynamics without an algorithm deciding who you saw first. But here is the most profound revelation from developmental psychology. This unique upbringing didn't break you. It gave you an extraordinary psychological superpower. Because you had to manually adapt from an analog reality to a digital one, your brain developed a high degree of cognitive flexibility. Hit that subscribe button right now if you want more deep dives into how your past shapes your current mind. You became the ultimate cultural translators. You understand your baby boomer parents' deep distrust of technology, but you also understand Gen Z's complete reliance on it. You can troubleshoot an old landline telephone and write an Excel macro or code a web app in the same afternoon. You are the structural bridge between two epochs of human history. This adaptability came at a steep psychological price. Because you grew up alongside the internet, you were the guinea pigs for early digital stress. You experienced the first instances of FOMO before the word even existed. Your brain was forced to continuously recalibrate its baseline attention span as technology accelerated at an exponential rate. But look at what you gained: perspective. You possess a unique mental sanctuary that younger generations simply don't have access to. You know exactly what life looks like without notifications. You possess an internal map back to a quieter, more anchored way of living. You can disconnect intentionally because you have a physical memory of what the world felt like when it was unplugged. You are the last custodians of a world that once was. Your dual childhood wasn't a historical accident. It was a psychological gift. You hold the blueprint for human connection across two vastly different eras. Share this video with a friend born in the mid-90s to remind them of the unique mental power they carry. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next chapter.